The command bridge of the Zephyrian dreadnought sovereign's wrath hummed with the controlled tension of impending victory. General Vexithara stood before the massive viewing screen, his forearms clasped behind his segmented back as he surveyed the small blue world hanging in the void ahead. Earth, the final bastion of human resistance in what the galaxy had come to know as the Terran Extinction Campaign. "Status report," Vexithara commanded, his voice carrying the authority of 3 decades of conquest across 47 star systems. "All fleets are in position, General," replied his tactical officer, mandibles clicking with excitement. 237 capital ships, 8,000 fighters, and our planetary bombardment platforms are ready to commence the final assault. Their orbital defenses are minimal. Vexithara's compound eyes glittered with satisfaction. The humans had proven surprisingly resilient for such a primitive species, lasting nearly 6 months against the combined might of the galactic hegemony. But every species eventually learned the same lesson. Resistance was futile against superior technology and overwhelming numbers. "Open a channel to the planet," Vexithara ordered. "Let me deliver their final terms personally." The communications array crackled to life, and Vexithara's image was broadcast across every remaining communication device on Earth. He had learned that humans were particularly susceptible to psychological warfare. Their emotional nature made them prone to despair when faced with impossible odds. "People of Earth," Vexithara began, his voice carrying across continents. "I am General Vexithara of the Galactic Hegemony. Your pathetic resistance ends today. You have seen your colonies burn, your fleets scattered to cosmic dust. Now witness the futility of your species' arrogance." He gestured toward the tactical display showing his massive armada. "Before you hangs the largest invasion fleet ever assembled. 237 ships of the line, each one capable of glassing your entire planet. You have no orbital stations, no significant fleet elements, and your ground defenses are little more than primitive projectile weapons." The general's voice grew colder. "I offer you this final mercy. Surrender unconditionally, and we will grant you the honor of serving as laborers in our empire. Refuse, and your species will join the 47 others that have learned the price of defiance. You have 1 hour to—" The transmission was interrupted by an incoming signal from Earth. Vexithara frowned. Who would dare interrupt his ultimatum? The tactical officer looked up nervously. "General, we're receiving a tight beam transmission from— It appears to be a single human fighter craft." "A single fighter?" Vexithara's mandibles spread in what passed for amusement among his species. "Put it through. Let us hear what desperate words this last defender has to offer." The screen flickered, revealing the interior of a cramped human cockpit. The pilot couldn't have been more than 25 Earth years old, with close-cropped brown hair and clear blue eyes that seemed utterly unconcerned by the vast armada surrounding his tiny ship. Most remarkably, he was laughing, not the desperate, hysterical laughter of the doomed, but a rich, genuine sound of pure amusement. "Sorry to interrupt your dramatic speech there, General," the human pilot said, still chuckling as he checked his instruments with casual efficiency. "Lieutenant Commander Jake Icebox Morrison, Earth Defense Corps. I couldn't help but notice you mentioned something about 47 conquered species." Vexithara's eyes narrowed. The human's casual demeanor in the face of certain death was unsettling. "Indeed, primitive. 47 worlds have fallen before our might. Your world will be the 48th. Morrison's grin widened. "See, that's where you made your first mistake, General. You assume we're like those other 47 species?" He leaned forward in his seat, and something predatory flickered in those blue eyes. "But here's the thing about humans: we don't surrender. We don't retreat, and we sure as hell don't go quietly into the night." "Brave words from a dead man?" Vexithara snarled. "Your single fighter against my entire fleet? This is madness." "Maybe," Morrison replied, his hands dancing across his controls. "But you want to know what's really funny? You spent 6 months studying our military tactics, our technology, our defenses, but you never bothered to study our history." The human pilot's expression grew serious, though the smile never entirely left his lips. "See, we've got this thing called mutually assured destruction, General. Been living with it for over a century now. The idea that sometimes the only winning move is to make sure nobody wins." Vexithara felt something cold crawl up his spine. "What are you talking about, human?" Morrison held up a small device, a detonator. "This little beauty is linked to every nuclear weapon on Earth. All 43,000 of them. But that's not the fun part. His grin returned wider than before. The fun part is what we've done with our son. The color drained from Vexthara's exoskeleton. Impossible. Oh, very possible. See, while you were conquering those 47 other species, we were preparing for you. 3 years ago, we seeded Sol with enough antimatter to turn our nice, stable star into a supernova. Took us 6 months just to deliver it all without detection. Morrison's voice grew conversational as if discussing the weather. Now, I'm betting your species never encountered anything quite like this before. Those other 47 civilizations probably had something worth preserving. Art, culture, maybe some decent real estate. But us humans? We're spite incarnate, General. If we're going down, we're taking you with us. The bridge of the Sovereign's wrath erupted into chaos as officers frantically began scanning the human star. Vexthara watched in horror as the readings confirmed the impossible truth. The human sun was indeed primed to explode. You're bluffing, Vexthara managed. You wouldn't destroy your own world. Morrison laughed again, the sound somehow both cheerful and terrifying. General, we've got a saying on Earth. If you can't win, change the rules. You brought 237 ships to kill my species. I brought a star. He held up the detonator, his thumb hovering over the trigger. So here's my counteroffer. You've got exactly 60 seconds to get your entire fleet out of this system, or I turn Sol into the biggest fireworks show in galactic history. Your ships might survive the initial blast, but the radiation wave will cook every living thing in them long before you reach the edge of the system. Vexthara stared at the human pilot, seeing something in those blue eyes that he had never encountered in 47 conquered worlds. Absolute, unwavering resolve backed by complete and utter insanity. 50 seconds, General. For the first time in his military career, General Vexthara of the Galactic Hegemony gave the order to retreat. As the massive alien fleet began their emergency jump to hyperspace, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison sat alone in his fighter, watching the stars blur as ship after ship fled the Sol system. When the last alien vessel disappeared, he carefully placed the detonator in his pocket and opened a channel to Earth Command. Mission accomplished, Control. The boogeyman is gone. Outstanding work, Icebox. Return to base for debriefing. Morrison grinned as he turned his fighter toward home. Copy that, Control. Oh, and remind me to send a thank you note to the Special Effects Department. That fake antimatter reading was Academy Award level work. Roger that, Lieutenant Commander. Welcome to the history books. As Earth's newest hero flew home through the void, he reflected on humanity's greatest weapon, not nuclear fire or antimatter bombs, but the simple, terrifying fact that sometimes the best way to win a game was to convince your opponent that you were crazy enough to flip over the table. In the depths of space, General Vexthara was learning the same lesson that would soon spread throughout the galaxy. When it comes to sheer, bloody-minded determination, never bet against the humans.